Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a good Thursday. My name is Stacia Wilson. I'm a meteorologist here at Channel 5. And today we're talking about rip currents. And for those of you who don't know what a rip current is, we're going to discuss that and explain it. We're also going to talk about the potential dangers involved in rip currents when you're swimming along the beach. So this is a very serious topic. Rip currents probably result in the death of around 100 people a year. And lifeguards have to rescue an average of 30,000 swimmers every single year as a result of these rip currents. So they can be dangerous, but they're also it's a situation that you can get yourself out of most of the time. And really the best thing to do, the key solution here to make sure that you never find yourself in this situation is to remain calm, and I'll explain that later. But all right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and punch my box up and talk about this, but I haven't been in here in a couple weeks, so I'm just refreshing my memory real quick. So what we're going to do is let's see if that works. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, so sometimes when the waves, they hit the beach in a certain way to create a current that flows away from the beach. So that's what a rip current is. So when the waves hit the beach, they create a current that actually causes the water to flow away from the beach. That's considered a rip current. And when waves travel from deep to shallow water, they break near the shoreline. So that generates currents that are actually influenced by the shape of the ocean floor. So the shape of the ocean floor, which the ocean floor, just because it's the ocean floor, conditions down there can change on a regular basis. Usually a lot of certain particular areas are known for having rip currents, but then you can have a new rip current that you just never expected to be there. So they're not always predictable. So that's what a rip current is. Again, it's when the waves hit the beach a certain way, they create a current that flows away from the beach. And it can be dangerous because it can carry you away with the current. They're also kind of hard to see, but you can spot them in areas where the waves aren't breaking or where there's foam, seaweed, or discolored water being pulled offshore. And that's the area that you're looking at marked and with the red arrows. It could appear that that picture is upside down. That was not intentional. But yeah, there's the sand and the beach. And then you see that break in the water there. That's actually a rip current. So again, they're difficult to see because most of the time you're probably not looking out for them. They do have signs and warnings on beaches where rip currents are prevalent. So that's also kind of a warning to say, hey, you might want to check out for rip current if you see the warning signs on the beach. Let's go ahead and talk just kind of about the characteristics of rip currents. They form around low spots in the ocean floor. So we were talking about the ocean floor, how that affects it, and near the shoreline or in breaks between sandbars. And that graph there kind of explains how it all is set up. So sandbar on the ocean floor, the little beige area, that's the beach, that's the shoreline. And it kind of just makes this, you can see this motion with the arrows and comes up to the top, almost to the surface of the water, and then kind of pulls it back down. And there's a couple different kind of rip currents, but they can vary from 50 to 300 feet wide. So 50 feet is about the size of a 4-lane highway. So that kind of puts into perspective just how wide they could be, if you could imagine 300 feet. So they can cover a vast area. You don't want to get caught in a rip current while you're swimming because it can pull you underneath and cause you to drown. So that's why they're dangerous. And they're, again, they're relatively easy to get out of if you know what to do. That's why we're going to talk about that today. They have a very fast flow. They flow at 1 to 2 feet per second. So that may not seem super fast, but it is, especially when you're a swimmer and you're fighting against it. They've been known to flow as fast as 8 feet per second. That's pretty fast. That's about 5 miles per hour. So thinking about traveling in the water as a human, that's fast. In fact, faster than an Olympic swimmer can sprint. They can even sweep the strongest swimmer out to sea. So you can be an Olympic champion swimmer and a rip current will still be stronger. It can still pull you out to sea. So I mentioned that there were a couple different kinds of rip currents. And this is what's called a recirculating rip current. And the way that it works is starting from the shore, the recirculating rip current, it flows out toward where the waves are breaking, and then it bounces off that wave and goes back toward the shallow areas before heading back out to sea. So it's kind of, it looks like a merry-go-round circular motion. That arrow that's round, it basically just forms a circle at the top like that. I think out of the two different kinds, this is probably the one that would be less harmful. You also have what are called ejecting rip currents, or they're also known as exiting rip currents. And these currents usually start when multiple waves break together. And so then the force of the water pushes the current out from the shore, and it breaks through the waves before heading parallel to the coastline. And I know that it's kind of hard to explain with pictures, but that one can definitely, can pull you back out to sea. So it can pull you farther away from the coast, and then it can also pull you under in certain situations. All right, so what do you do if you get caught in a rip current? The best way to survive a rip current is to stay afloat and yell for help. They say wave, yell, swim parallel. You can also swim parallel to the shore to escape the rip current. This will really give you more time to be rescued if you can't get out of it, or for you to swim back to shore once that current finally eases up. So typically rip currents, they stay close to shore, and they usually break up just beyond the line of breaking waves. So occasionally, as we just saw with especially with the ejecting rip current, it occasionally can push someone out far away from the shoreline. So, and that's not a situation you want to find yourself in. The best thing to do is when people get caught in a rip current, they typically want to swim away from it. So that is actually the worst thing that you can do. I'm going to see if I can punch myself back up. Yeah, they want to swim away from it. So you feel something kind of pulling you back or pulling you in a certain direction. There you go. And you want to fight it. And really what you want to do is you want to swim back to land. You want to swim back to shore. But that's the worst thing you can do. If you can remember to swim parallel to the shoreline. So if you have the beach and there's the shoreline, instead of swimming directly toward that beach, that shoreline, you're going to swim alongside it. So here's the beach, and then here's you. And you want to swim toward that shoreline. But what you need to do is swim parallel with the shoreline. That's how you can get out of a rip current. That's really the most effective way to do it. And sometimes you don't have to swim very far at all, just a few feet, and you've gotten out of the grips of rip currents. And it can happen just in a matter of seconds. So just remember, continue to breathe, keep your head above water, don't exhaust yourself trying to fight the current. You will not be able to fight this current. The best thing to do is to use your wits and swim parallel to the shoreline, swim parallel to the beach, swim alongside the beach instead of swimming directly toward it, because you'll wear yourself out. And like we just said, it can even pull the best Olympic swimmer in the world out to the ocean, out to the, away from the shoreline. My point is that it's way stronger than you are. So fighting it, you're just going to exhaust yourself and put yourself in a worse situation. And again, you can usually see the signs of a rip current. Often there's an area on the beach where the waves, it's not breaking, but instead you see kind of sandy water or white foam, as we were talking about before. I kind of liked this picture because everything looks like it's going along just fine with the white foam and then the shoreline and the waves. And then you kind of have this random little circle in the middle where these two arrows are pointing, where it looks different from the rest of it. So that is you see something like that, and especially if you see the warning signs that rip currents are in that particular area on that beach or on that shoreline, then I think that's pretty safe to say to watch out for that. Now, again, out of the whole grand scheme of things, 100 people a year that lose their life to rip currents, and there could obviously be other factors involved with those particular situations. That's not a lot of people, but it can happen. So regardless of the people who, let's say, you're lucky enough to be rescued, 30,000 swimmers every single year, that is a pretty decent amount, have to be rescued by lifeguards because of the rip currents. Fortunately, lifeguards, beach lifeguards, are trained. They know the areas, they know where these rip currents are frequent. But again, they can happen in areas that they've never happened before just because of the changes to the ocean floor and the circumstances with the surroundings of the the water and the waves and the direction of the winds. So my point is that their lifeguards, first responders, they're always on the lookout for these if they are patrolling a particular area where people are swimming and trying to enjoy themselves at the beach, because they know how dangerous they can be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and check in with y'all and see some of your comments. All right, Paula Neal says, as a child, family and friends would go to the coast Port A every summer. We would have to walk further past where we were on the beach. We would get in water and try to end up where we were on the beach. It was strong. Yeah, it's just something that you don't really even want to mess with. You want to avoid it at all costs. Thank you, Paula, for commenting. I don't know why people are typing other people's names, Matthew. Matthew, you seem to be a very dedicated viewer of Cloudy with a Chance of Learning. So we thank you for that. Also, we want to say hi to Sandra Lewis. Hi from Addison and Converse. Oh, okay. You've been on before, Addison. Thanks for joining us again. And we've got Erica, Joshua John. I guess Joshua John is watching. Hello, Joshua. I appreciate you guys checking in with us. Okay. And then I think Selena Sandoval says Mark Sandoval is watching. So we appreciate you all tuning in, because I think it's good for the kiddos to hear this one too. Especially, I mean, I know people are kind of staying home right now because of our situation, avoiding crowds, which is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Keep doing that. When things finally settle down and, you know, the beaches hopefully are a more comfortable scenario, then this is just good. These are good things to remember the next time you go to the coast, to the beach. Okay, so I don't really see any big time questions about rip currents. Basically, just know what to look out for. If you do find yourself being pulled out by one or being pulled under, don't fight it. Just remain calm and swim parallel to the shoreline. Do not swim toward the shoreline. It's just going to make things worse. You're not going to be able to break free from it, most likely. But if you swim parallel to the shoreline, like alongside it, then there's a good chance that it would be relatively easy for you to get out of the grips of a rip current. So, all right, let's go ahead and do a quick look at our forecast and see what's going on with that. Alrighty. I'm going to punch up this. Let's see what's going on right now outside. 91 degrees, feels like 98. That's almost like 100. So that's no fun for it to be 120 in the afternoon and feeling like triple digits outside. Our heat indices, those will start to drop over the next several days. But as those heat indices continue to drop, the temperatures are going to climb. So it's kind of a catch-22. This afternoon, and I see this updated, we are going to probably hit triple digits easily with the actual temperature, but the heat index is going to make it feel probably like 106. It felt like 105 yesterday. Over the last 24 hours, we just had a little bit of cloud cover, and it has been dry, and it's going to remain dry through the weekend and very possibly into early next week. I just don't see any chance of rain in the next 7 days at all, even a couple days after that. There's a heat advisory. Those are the counties that are in orange that we're watching. As far as heat advisories go, anytime your heat index gets to 110 or higher, if it's predicted to be that high in a county, then the National Weather Service goes ahead and issues a heat advisory for that area, just because it's going to be so hot. So you'll notice Bexar County and many of our surrounding counties, as well as Central Texas, Austin, we're not under a heat advisory today because our heat index was only around 106, not 110. Your radar, we still have a little bit of cloud cover from this morning. That cloud cover is breaking up fast. Right now it's over Kerrville and parts of the hill country and continues to diminish. That's one of just a couple of areas in the state where we're seeing a little bit of cloud cover. Everything else is really dry and clear. Really no precipitation out there at all for the Lone Star State. Your max heat index yesterday was around 103 at the airport, 106 in Pleasanton, Beeville, 114. You know, my heart goes out to the folks in Beeville. It seems like when it gets hot, it gets extra hot there. Our low temperature today was 80, so that doesn't really help us when you don't cool off overnight. If your low temperature is 80 in Bexar County at the airport, then it's going to warm up pretty quickly during the day, as we have seen it do today. South Texas temperatures across the board, 86 in Rock Springs, 83 in Fredericksburg, which sounds nice, but you know that heat index is making it feel warmer. I mean, overall, if you just glance at these temperatures, they don't seem unbearable. What makes it extremely uncomfortable is when you had the heat index, the relative humidity, the high dew points. When you go outside and once you get into that range of having the dew points in the 70-degree range, which most of ours are, it starts to just kind of feel oppressive. You feel like you're just hit with a hot, wet blanket. Your feel-like temperatures, so Fredericksburg still not too bad, even though it was 83 there. They're feeling like 88, but Austin already feels like 104. Again, we feel close to 100 in Bexar County. Beeville right now feeling like 104. Carrizo Springs, 103. Cotulla, 106. My goodness, it is hot in Cotulla. So we've got this high pressure system that continues to just kind of sit over Texas and will remain there. It is a very, very strong system. We haven't had a high pressure system with this kind of strength, I would say, in at least 2 or 3 years. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's created basically this dome-like presence that's trapped all this heat underneath it, and so nothing can break free as far as we can't get any storms, any breaks as far as just even a few rain showers. It's just dry. This is another good way to look at it. So we're looking at the moisture probably in the mid-level of the atmosphere. So yesterday, you still even had some moisture in central Texas. You can see that kind of blue spot there. You had a lot of, I mean, things did not look totally 100% the same. You had a lot going on. You had a lot of activity. Well, by today, it looks like a lot of that moisture, the areas in blue, have moved out, and all of this brown, where it's brown, it's dry. And it's in a circular motion just hanging out over Texas, and it's going to stay like this over the next several days, and that's what's, with it being just sitting on top of us, creating this dome, it's just what makes us feel this extreme heat day in and day out for a consecutive number of days. And again, I don't think we're going to have any rain at all over the next 7 days. Your national temperatures, we had this big heat wave affecting much of the country. It has finally cooled off a little bit. I was laughing the other day because Bismarck and DFW were the same temperature, and that's not usually typical around this time of year. 75, so cooling off a little bit up north, but the Northeast still really hot there. Chicago 92, 93 in St. Louis, and then Phoenix also expected to possibly set a record this weekend. Just like we are, we could see record-setting temperatures this weekend. So they're at 100 degrees right now. Texas temperatures across the board. Amarillo is at 102, but what you got to remember about Amarillo is that they don't have the heat index that we do. So even though it's 102 in Amarillo, it's very possible that it feels like 100 or even 99. But we're at 91, feeling closer to 98. They have a really strong dry heat in West Texas. I used to live in Lubbock, and to be honest, I preferred the dryness. I preferred the dry heat over all of this humidity that we have in South Texas. It was definitely windy, but again, it was a different type of heat, and so it would get pretty hot there, but I felt like it was more bearable for some reason. Wind speed direction, a little bit of a breeze today, so that's helping keep us more comfortable. If we didn't have any breeze at all, that would be no fun. And these are sustainable winds, so that means you have almost 20-mile-per-hour winds in Beeville. So even though it's really hot in Beeville, their index has been high the past several days, they have a substantial breeze out there. Their wind gusts are probably even higher down there. Again, we're at 10 at the airport, around 15 miles per hour in Gonzales, about 16 miles per hour in New Braunfels and San Marcos. This is updated every Thursday. I think I checked in with y'all a couple weeks ago and I said how this entire region of South Texas used to be clear when it came to our drought monitor. We didn't really have any yellow or beige or brown or red on there. And now, just within the last 3 to 4 weeks, we've really started to pick up areas of yellow where it's dry. In fact, all of Bexar County is now currently under the dry category when it comes to our drought monitor. And that's because, we just started really hurting for rain. We were getting pretty good rain showers up until a few weeks ago, and it started to dry out. We're going to move on from there. I know that little raindrop wants to pop in, but it is not going to rain tonight, y'all, so I don't know how that got in there. Your future cast as we move forward, I think it's going to be, overnight tonight, our low is going to be in the upper 70s, probably hitting close to 80 degrees tonight, so we won't cool off very much tonight. Looking at 6:30, around 99, but again, our heat index possibly 105, 106. The National Weather Service is reporting that it could feel like 105, even pretty close to midnight with the heat index. I'm hoping that that's going to drop down, but they just they put that out as a possibility because they want people to know that it's not going to cool off once the sun goes down necessarily a whole bunch. Tomorrow morning, yeah, around 8 a.m. you're looking at 80 degrees, hot, humid, a little bit of a breeze, and you have some cloud cover, but it is going to continue to warm up Friday. And then Friday around 7 o'clock, here's a look at the temperatures. I'll back it up to see what it looks like during the hottest part of the day. Yeah, you're well into the triple digits, around 101 on Friday tomorrow. Hey, at least it's Friday, right? We can all go inside and shut our door and turn on the AC. And then Saturday, we're looking at our Saturday morning temperatures. I'm going to go back to 7:30. Yeah, so you're, again, in the upper 70s around 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. And then we start to warm up on Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, those are the days when the heat index is going to match the temperature, which is good because if our high is 106 on Sunday, we don't want to have a heat index higher than that. Let's see what's going on here. Watching your 7-day forecast for you. Yeah, so it's going to be hot. Today's high 101, tomorrow 102, 104 on Saturday, but the heat index still exists then, so it's going to feel closer to probably 107. But then by Sunday, it kind of catches up with us. It feels more like the actual temperature. Also checking as well the rest of your week. Sorry, I was checking the phone real quick. Wendy Rigby, hello Wendy. It's good to see you again. I know you tuned in last time. Monday 105, Tuesday 103, Wednesday 102. And the heat index a little bit higher on Tuesday and Wednesday. I think Wednesday it could possibly feel like 103, but your actual temperature is 102. So it kind of works like it continues to warm up with the actual temperature. We have this high pressure system gaining intensity over Texas, and it's kind of like the heat index and the actual temperature sort of catch up with each other at some point, and that's what we're going to see on Sunday. So Sunday will be a drier heat. You don't have that extreme humidity that we've been seeing this week. It was the same situation for July 4th. The high was right around 100, and our heat index hit 100. It did not feel hotter than that on July 4th, and that's kind of what I thought was going to happen because you saw those temperatures climbing. That high pressure system, another one, was moving in, and it's like the temperature caught up with the heat index. So hitting 100 on July 4th, but at least the heat index wasn't 105, 106. It was right at 100, and that's what we're going to kind of see this weekend. Unfortunately, instead of our high being 100 on Sunday, it's 106. So you're going to add a few degrees to that. If y'all have to be outside, please take precautions. Please make sure that you're drinking lots of water, getting plenty of shade, taking breaks. I also want to remind folks that we have Project Cool going on. You can drop off or pick up a fan at any one of these 3 locations. And these are the 3 locations that are available. It looks like Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul, that is Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I don't see any on the weekend. So if you need a fan, go to one of these locations by tomorrow because it doesn't look like they're open this weekend and it's going to be hot this weekend. Okay, well that is it for today's Cloudy with a Chance of Learning. Thanks so much for joining us. And tomorrow is Fun Time Friday. And I know that they've been doing all kinds of cool stuff on that. So we'll check back in with you tomorrow. And Bill Taylor is in this evening with all your weather updates at 4, 5, 6, and 10. And of course, we'll have all your news updates and the latest on the coronavirus and how it's impacting our area here in Bexar County and South Texas. Okay, I hope you guys have a great Thursday. Stay cool and stay safe.